Okay, I just want to let you guys know something right off the bat. I almost walked out of the theater because of a bunch of idiots that kept on yakking and yakking and making all this ruckus right before the movie started. And a combination of seeing the Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer, which, why do I have to keep seeing that preview? Just... So, I almost ended up walking out of the theater because I didn't want to let the experience ruin the movie for me. But not to worry, got a lot more pleasant after that. Draft Day is directed by Ivan Reitman, the man who brought us Ghostbusters and Kindergarten Cop. It's not a tumor! Starring Kevin Costner, Jennifer Garner, Dennis Leary, and a whole bunch of other people are in this movie. It tells the story of the general manager, Sonny, played by Kevin Costner, who's trying to land the #1 draft pick after a 13-year losing streak. I myself am... Now, I like sports. I like watching football and baseball. If you probably can't tell, I like Philadelphia sports teams. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. If anyone who knows me, I like myself a sports movie, as long as it's good. I like Kevin Costner, I like Ivan Reitman, who brought us Ghostbusters, and most of the actors in this movie I think are pretty damn good. Turns out it was pretty good. Not great, though. One of the things I thought the movie did a really good job with is stripping away all the unimportant stuff that you could have talked about and just focused on the day of the draft. And it's really interesting how they do it, is because they have a ticking clock right throughout the movie, giving you the feeling of how much time they have to make these draft picks. But it also never forgets to shy away from some really good moments between the characters, which I think is really essential in this kind of movie. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there going, it's beyond me, I don't care. You also got a great list of actors in this movie. Kevin Costner, which it's actually nice to see him making a little bit of a comeback recently. Jennifer Garner's really good. Dennis Leary is hilarious. Frank Langella, Chadwick Boseman, who you might remember as Jackie Robinson from 42 last year. And the guy, I don't know his name, but you might remember him as the stormtrooper who tried in Catching Fire, who tried to kill Jennifer Lawrence. Anyway, and also Tom Welling in a very brief role. Which, now that I think about it, it's nice to see Tom Welling and Kevin Costner in the same movie together, since Kevin Costner was Jonathan Kent in Man of Steel, and Tom Welling played Clark Kent in the show Smallville. Interesting parallels right there. And also the last maybe 30 minutes of this movie, when the draft is actually going down, I actually thought that was done really well. I actually almost found myself biting my nails a little bit. Like, come on, pick it. Getting a little excited, though. I'm a sports guy, I can't help it. Given the premise of this movie, it's easy for this movie to come across as a ripoff of Moneyball, or like some one big giant commercial for the NFL, because the NFL had a big role to play in this movie. Quite a few famous people in the NFL, such as Ray Lewis and Chris Berman and the commissioner of the NFL. But I like that, though. It gives a sense of realism to it. And the movie doesn't really come off as a ripoff of Moneyball. It actually tries to do its own thing. I mean, it's essentially a similar story. But I like that it doesn't really try to copy what Moneyball did. While there's all this good stuff in here, it's a little too by the numbers for me. I mean, you can kind of predict what's going to happen towards the end of the movie, even though, like the final act that I mentioned, does get a little bit intense. This is one of those movies where you have to pay attention to what people are saying, otherwise you're going to be lost. Some people had problems with the transition style because there's this big line waving side to side, up and down, back and forth, kind of like an NFL thing. I mean, I thought it added a nice little flavor to the movie. But in the end, Draft Day is, I think, a pretty enjoyable sports movie. Even if you're not really into sports, you actually might find this interesting. So what's your favorite sports movie? I'm not really sure what mine is. Well, actually, I think mine's The Sandlot. You're killing me, Smalls! So comment below, tell me what you thought of Draft Day, and I'll see you out on the field.